Good morning, wonderful viewers of HTV. It's a pleasure meeting you for this other edition of your program, Week Review. Remember, in the first part of this program, we shall be having a recap of the news that ran through the week. In our second part, we shall be heading at the Yaoundé Conference Center, where we shall meet with Honorable Cabral Libii of the PCRN party. With him, we shall talk about some of the key resolutions which were adopted during the just ended parliamentary session. The last but not the least, we shall have our segment entitled No Comment. For right now, don't go far. We shall be right back just after this pause. Let's open in politics, where the security in Cameroon's political capital, Yaoundé, is still on high alert as systematic checks are being intensified in some quarters of the city capital. The announcement was made by the governor of the Center region, Nasseri Paul Lebeya. This operation thus aims at securing the town, given that it has recently been attacked, the latest one being the bomb explosion which took place in the Damas neighborhood. Still in politics, the Secretary Generals of the various ministries who were appointed last week by the President of the Republic assumed office this week. These new Secretary Generals are called upon to bring innovations and face the new challenges which come with their function. Let us go to the Ministry of Employment and Vocational Training, where Mrs. Forchap Sandem Prudence assumed office and was asked to start working immediately, as she would be faced with the problem of youth employment. Let's have a view of her reaction on this installation day.
First of all, I'd like to thank the Almighty God for giving me the opportunity to serve His people. And I will go further to say I'm very grateful to the head of state, the President of the Republic, for bestowing this confidence on me. And I promise that I will be up to the task. And as concerns youth unemployment in our country, I think, as my minister said, it's a collective effort of everybody. So I promise the Cameroonian youths especially that something will be done great for their lives.
What will be your main priority?
My main priority will be to reduce youth unemployment.
Let's move on to economics, where the small and medium-sized enterprises will henceforth receive the support of members of parliament. This decision was taken during the just ended parliamentary session. To implement this, a network of parliamentarians have been put in place for the promotion of private entrepreneurship. This network held its first meeting in a bid to present its action plan for the year 2021-2020. Honorable Findi Stanley was there and could give his reaction concerning this plan.
It's interesting to know that it's a parliamentary network for the promotion of enterprises within Cameroon. As parliamentarians, we have as one of our responsibilities to assist the state in realizing its objectives, of which one of the objective of the state is to promote small and medium-sized enterprises, get them from the informal to the formal sector, and assist them in the trainings and even in getting financial assistance. So in there, as parliamentarians of this network, we are trying to put up ideas of which to see how we can better make the activities of the small and medium-sized enterprises better. Just as what I presented during the meeting in my constituency, which is Fako East. Last 2 weeks, I engaged in a series of activities on the field, which was solely to encourage small and medium-sized enterprises to get themselves formalized. By getting themselves formalized, is getting them out from the informal to the formal sector. And also to encourage those who are still to begin to facilitate their formalization, to facilitate their creation, the startups, as we can call them. So during which we had the opportunity to enjoy the presence of the general manager of the Small and Medium-Sized Enterprise Promotion Agency, APMA, and his deputy manager, which they came to enhance, to give accreditations to consultants, those who will be in charge to train these small and medium-sized enterprises to increase on their capacity building. After that, we will be responsible to ensure that we facilitate the realization of financial assistance, that's those who will be in need. It will interest you to know that the Southwest region, precisely FACO, where I come from, has been greatly hit by the crisis. And during the plan of the national coordinator of the presidential of the program to reconstruct the Southwest, His Excellency Minister Paul Tasson, who is the national coordinator, in one of his projects is the Build Back Better, of which if we have to build back better Southwest, it's but imperative that the youths should be able to get themselves involved, because they are the ones, they are the active population of the country. They are the ones who have to carry this country to a different level. So in identifying them, ensuring that they get themselves mobilized in associations, in foundations, they will get stronger and they'll be able to get themselves involved in this project so as to build back Southwest.
Still in economics, Cameroon's Minister of Finance, Louis-Paul Motaze, has presented the budgetary orientations for the years 2021-2023 to the members of the National Assembly. This plan foresees, among other aspects, the continuation of government's response plan to the deadly coronavirus pandemic, and the putting in place of the presidential plan for the reconstruction and development of the northwest and the southwest regions of the country. These budgetary orientations are thus meant to be respected by the various ministers in order for the good functioning of their ministries. Let's move on to health, where some health workers from 11 district hospitals in the Central region have reinforced their capacities in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. During a one-week workshop organized by the Ministry of Public Health in partnership with Plan Cameroon, the health workers were drilled on the various stages involved in the response against the COVID-19, notably sensitization, testing, treating, as well as a psychological care for the patients with the COVID-19. It was equally an opportunity to look at ways of protecting health workers who are at the front line in the fight against the pandemic. According to the Minister of Public Health, this training will actually be extended to the 10 regions of the country, given that it is part of the country's policy to decentralize the response strategy against the COVID-19 pandemic. Still in health, the government of Cameroon has engaged in the construction of specialized centers for the treatment of patients suffering from the coronavirus pandemic. The Minister of Public Health, Dr. Malachi Malauda, announced last week that the centers are under construction at the various regional hospitals across the country and will soon go operational. Apart from the specialized COVID-19 patients care centers in Douala and Yaoundé, which have gone operational in most parts, constructions work are still going on in the other regions of the country. At the Mvokbi Specialized Center, which has a capacity of receiving 280 beds, it already has admitted 18 patients, of which we can count one pregnant woman and a 5-year-old child. Still in the fight against the coronavirus pandemic, the European Union has brought its support to the Cameroon government in the fight against the coronavirus pandemic. This was done through a financial support. This financial support will be estimated to close to 6 billion francs CFA. This was announced during a press briefing by the ambassador, head of delegation of the European Union, His Excellency Peter Shadek. He was equally received by the Minister of Planning and Rural Development, Alamine Ousmane May. Our reporter was on the field and could get the reaction of Minister Alamine Ousmane May. Let's have a view.
That this is not the only support we are getting from the European Union. This is one among others. Those support which have been already disbursed and made available through WHO, through UNICEF, through civil society, all these measures have already been put in place. This 6 billion CFA were supposed to be disbursed at the end of this year. So you will bear with me with the fact that if we have the money right now, it helps us to address the urgent matter we are facing, which is COVID-19. And this is so why, cognizant of the situation and convinced that these resources are going to be helpful for our economy, for the private sector, for the health system, the European Union has decided to join Cameroon in disbursing this amount now. So we are very pleased to have these additional resources, which were meant to be disbursed end of the year. We are proud that this can be done today, and it will certainly help treat some of our compatriots who are in the situation and protect those who are so far not affected by the illness.
On our cultural page, Yaoundé is preparing to host its traditional trade fair, Yafe, in this context of coronavirus pandemic. Also called Yaoundé en Fête, this trade fair, it's actually going to take place in this context of coronavirus. And the theme for this year's celebration, it's Yafe 2020, let's stand for each other. It therefore calls on the solidarity of all Cameroonians in this difficult period. As it is usually done, the fair will take place at the Yaoundé Congress Center from the 18th December 2020 to the 3rd January 2021. The various exposants are therefore called upon to start registering, that is by the end of this month, as the organizing committee reassures them that all the hygiene and distancing and sanitation measures will be put in place to fight the coronavirus pandemic. Let's now move on to our sports page where the Conciliation and Arbitration Chambers of the Cameroon National Olympic and Sports Committee held its first General Assembly this week. The main objective of this General Assembly is to adopt a new arbitration code for the chambers. As we could recall that the last modifications of this code was in 2016. During these 2 days of works, the members of the chambers will equally receive an internal training seminar and express their wish to extend this training to the other regions of the country. Let's listen to Mr. Jodinga, who is a member of the Arbitration and Conciliation Chambers of the Cameroon National Olympic and Sports Committee.
From the program that they distributed to us, the main issue to be discussed is the code, the procedure code, which has been amended to keep in line with the international instances. Thereafter, I think we're going to try to see what other issues the structure has which did not move last season. We'll try to straighten them out so that when the sporting season starts, we can then have a working document to apply. For now, I am not versed with what is new because we have not yet started work. But I think a few touches will be done on the code. Presently, I think the registrar-in-chief is better placed to be able to address those new issues that will be coming up. Thank you, sir.
This General Assembly was concluded by the President of the Cameroon National Olympic and Sports Committee, Ahmad Cabral Libii. He tells us more about the arbitration code which was elaborated on that day. Let's have a view.
Our next session of the Board of Directors, and then it will start to implement. I think this is the right time because for the moment we don't have any competitions. So we are going to approve the code, make it available, and they can implement it when the competition will start. So this is the most important thing. But at the same time, I listened from the report of the chamber that they need to organize this kind of seminar often, and they want to go to the region also to organize this kind of seminar. So it is good. They want to educate people to know exactly how people would know to solve their own conflict if they have the conflict with the chamber. I think it is good for our sportsmen and women, our federations, and often the general public to know about the codes and to know about the role of the Chamber of Arbitration. Finally, I'm proud of that chamber because we are certainly one of the first organizations in this kind in Africa. So I'm proud of this but it is normal because Cameroon is a sporting nation. In our country, sport is very important. That's why we start earlier to set up this kind of organization. And I'm proud that the senior people who are composing that organization humbly decided to serve.
Still in sports, Cameroon's Football Federation, FECAFOOT, has paid area allowances to the players of the amateur clubs of Yaoundé. This payment counts for their participation during the Cup of Cameroon. This action actually comes after several revendications made by the players of this cup. As we usually say, money is good at any time, and the players of these clubs are not going to tell us the opposite. And in this period of COVID-19, as they need the money more than ever. Dear viewers, that was it for the first part of our program. We shall now move on to the second part, entitled The Guest. Welcome back, dear viewers. If you are just joining us, it's your program Week Review. We are in the second part of our program, and as we announced in our headlines, we are in the Yaoundé Conference Center where the parliamentary session just ended after almost 1 month of intensive work. We are with Honorable Cabral Libii of the PCRN party, who is going to point out some key resolutions or some key laws which were taken during this parliamentary session. If you wish to have a clue of this interview, let's have a view. Just follow us. Program. As we know, the parliamentary session just closed today, so we wish to know what are some of the major resolutions which were adopted during this session. What can you say? How can you analyze these resolutions?
You know, we are parliamentarians, so our resolutions are laws. We have voted. So we have voted some laws, a law about statistics, a law about cultural and artistic associations, a law about gorillas, and we have discussed about the orientation of budget. So the law have been voted because the majority. We are in a democratic institution. The majority has the decision. So, but we personally, we in Cameroon Party for Cameroon Party for National Reconciliation, CPNR, we haven't voted all these laws because there are bad laws. The law about statistics is not good for us, and we have we have explained to the government why the law about associations, cultural and artistic associations, was law. We cannot vote it. It is, for me, it is a joke. This law about cultural and artistic associations. So, but the majority has decided. We have explained. We have presented our positions for history, and we are continuing to work. But you know, there is a big difference between the discussions and the final decision. During the discussions, even in commission, even in plenary, it is very interesting, you know, when we are discussing, all the parliamentarians, they discuss without distinguishing political party or not. Generally, when we are in discussion, we are representing people. But when we have to decide after the discussion, sometimes the final decision is opposite to the spirit of discussions. That's why I don't understand. But you know, we are continuing to work. We are continuing to sensitize even our colleagues of CPDM or majority, and we hope one day the objectivity will be on upper the political and financial games. Exactly.
So the law about the double nationality, what can you say about that? Because we cannot say we can say the diaspora, they actually help in the development of the country. So what do you think about that law?
You know, in this question, our position is very, very clear. We have to change the law of 1968 about nationality. We have to install double or pluri nationality in our country, because if we want to take advantage from 5 million of our compatriots which are abroad, if we want to take advantage for their weight, their economic weight, we should change this law. Everybody here is agree, but as I have said, the question of majority and majority, yes, but they are always obeying to their president. When the government hasn't presented the law, they are waiting like us. So, but all we are waiting.
Okay, and why do you say you're completely against the law on artistic and cultural associations?
Because it is a joke, you know. It is a really joke. I don't want to tell a lot. It is a joke. When this sector is waiting financing, this sector is waiting to measures about this COVID-19, this sector is waiting measures about the formation. They decide to create the guild and so on, and only the ministry can give agreement. It is clearly a position of caporalizing the sector, and you know, for me it is a provocation and a joke. So now the artists, they should do their job. We have done our own. Now they should go to the presidency and ask the president to do not sign this law and send him back to the government to rewrite it.
Okay, let's now move on to the question of the reconstruction of the Anglophone regions. They say we heard that there is a law that is going to be adopted for the reconstruction of the northwest and the southwest regions of the country. So about that law, I think that one is at least a positive action. So what has the parliament said about it?
Reconstruction is a good thing. Everywhere, when there is a war, after the war, there is reconstruction. But in this region, are we after the war? We should speak, yes, reconstruction is after war. And are we after war? If we are after war, we can reconstruct. But if we are still in the war, we will continue to destroy what we have reconstructed, and after we will do another reconstruction. You know, you have to be serious. The first thing is to stop the war. And to stop the war, those who are weapons, they should not have weapons. They should deposit it. But those who are ruling the country, they should heard what those who are weapons are saying. We have a problem. We have a political problem, we have a social problem, we have an economic problem, and we have to solve it. We have decided we have taken some resolutions after the Grand Dialogue. Yes, the Grand Dialogue here in Palais de Congrès. But what are resolutions? What is the application of these resolutions? Yes, le statut, special status. Okay, but when you read the law of last year about municipalities, you have seen this special status. It is another provocation. You know, if we want to, me personally, I want peace, and every day I was in Batibo, you know, I tell to those who have weapons, only the government, only the soldiers of government should have weapons. So if there are somebody in bush with weapons, the regular army will continue to fight against them. So we have two things we have to do simultaneously. Those who should not have weapons should give up their weapons, and those who have the responsibility to organize dialogue, they should also organize this dialogue. Persons are dying. The two regions are destructed, so we should stop it and fight together to go to peace.
Thank you, Honorable. So what can we retain, like a positive aspect of this session?
Okay, you know, the spirit is different. The spirit is different. You have many newcomers. We have fresh method and fresh spirits. As I've said, the discussions are very
yes,
very heat. Yes, but there is something good, you know, to discuss freely, to discuss, and we will work to maintain this dynamic.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We thank Honorable Cabral Libii for giving us some of his time on that day. Dear viewers, we are slowly but surely coming to the end of our program as we are moving on to our last segment entitled the No Comment. Dear viewers, that was our no comment for you. That is how some people can actually create mixtures to eat, and that is not really advisable. Dear viewers, we have actually come to the end of our program. We actually thank the entire crew of HTV, which is mobilizing or which mobilizes every day for the success of this program. We wish to thank Gianni Bloom, we thank William Kamga, we equally thank Frank Mbala for the technical support. We thank our guest, Mr. Cabral Libii, for his time. Dear viewers, we hope you enjoyed the program, and if you did, let's take another rendezvous for next week at the same time on the same day. Of course, with the same pleasure. Bye-bye.